Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is RuneSnow, and today we'll be exploring Magic the Gathering top 10 arcane cards. And they're actually lands, spells, everything. So now, at number 10. And we're going to start off with Arcane Signate. It's from various sets, being various rarity as well. It only costs $1.25 if you want to purchase on the market at the time of this video. And well, it's at number 10 because of its constricted ability. Costs 2 mana to put it out. So it's really good. It says add 1 mana of any color of your commander's color identity. So it's very limited. It's only basically, well, commander decks, so you can't use it in vintage or anything. If you could, but it would be totally useless. And the saying is kind of cool. It says it started as a mere drop of water. The magic mirror crystallized into much more. So let's move on to number 9. We have Arcane Encyclopedia. It's from various sets, being uncommon with 24 cents, the average cost for this card. I really like the artwork. It just kind of works out perfect with the whole name and everything. Basically 3 mana, put it into play, 3, draw a card, and tap it. So it does have its drawback, but you can possibly draw a card every turn once you get that out in play. So let's move on to number 8. Next we have is the infamous land Arcane Sanctum. It's from various sets. It's an uncommon, going for about 72 cents on the market at the time of this video. Like I said, in most cards, I do really like this picture because I am a fan of land pictures. There's not much more to say about this card. It's at number 7 because its versatility. It comes in the battlefield tap, but you get to add white, island, or swamp to your mana tool. So you get 3 colors for your mana pool you can play with instead of the typical 2. That's about it. So let's move on to number 7. It's Arcane Melee. It's from Arcane Restored, I apologize if I said that wrong, or Commander 2013. It's a rare, going for about 24 cents on the market, which I'm actually surprised because this card seems to be very powerful, other than it costing 5 mana to put it into play. At this point, you should have all your cards played, so this is why I believe it's 24 cents. It's an enchantment. It says instant and sorcery spells cost 2 less to cast. At that point, with 5 mana, you should be able to cast all your instant sorceries by then, so I can see why this is not the best card. So let's move on to number 6. So now we have Arcane Artisan from Battle Bond or Call Time Commander series. It's a mythic, going for 42 cents at the market. It seems like a lot of these arcane cards are not very expensive right now. And this card is actually very powerful if you can somehow kind of keep it in play. Other than that, this card is totally useless. Costs 2 colors, an island. It's a 0/3. So for 2 colors and 1 island, again, so it costs 6 mana if you can somehow get it all in one turn. Target player draws a card, then exiles a card from their hand. If a creature card is exiled this way, that player creates a token that's a copy of that card. When Arcane Arson leaves the battlefield, exile all tokens created with it at the beginning of the next end step. So it's kind of backfiring because it says the next end step on top of like everything else. But you can play around with it and have some fun. So let's move halfway down our list to number 5. We have Arcane Laboratory from Urza Saga or 7th edition. This uncommon goes for about $2.76 on the market. And this card is actually one of my favorite blue uncommon enchantments from the series. Not that there's many. It says each player cannot play more than 1 spell each turn for basically 3 mana. That can really backfire you because most blue decks require you to play 1 more. If you want to counter, bounce, whatever, you might not get that opportunity. So it does help stop the opponent as well. So that's the only backfire. It was you're stopping yourself. So let's move on to number 4, which I have the classic Arcane Nile from various sets, uncommon with an average price of $1.90 on the market. When this was released on Alliances, every blue deck had this card. This is very common. It says counter target spell. That spell's caster may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Draw a card at the beginning of that next turn's upkeep. So you kind of counter, but everyone gets an extra card. So it's not bad, especially with only 2 mana at that point. I think it's definitely an awesome card. So let's move on to number 3. We have Arcane Bombardment. It's from Streets of New Capita. It's a mythic one. Yes, that's right. $4.89 on the market. It's also that expensive because it is a new card. At the time of this video, this is the new set that's been released. Costs 6 mana for this enchantment, but it says whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard. Then copy each exile from Arcane Bombardment. You may cast a number of those copies without paying their mana cost. So that's really cool because if you're building a deck based on that card alone, you can have quite a bit of fun, and it's free. So you can play cards, play the instant sorcery cards, and just, well, do some bombardment. Let's move on to number 2, which is a fun little card, Arcane Adaption. It's from Ixalan. It's a rare one for $3.67 on the market at the time of this video. Costs 3 mana for this enchantment. It's a funny little card. It says as Arcane Adaption enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to the other types. The same name is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own on that are on the battlefield. So you can really have fun with, basically you got to make some kind of creature deck. This is the only way it would work. And it can be very beneficial. I just wish this was green instead of a blue, but that's the way it is. But you can really have fun with this card, and it is very playable in the Magic world. But let's move on to number 1. We got Arcane Lighthouse. It's from Commander 2014 or Commander Anthology Volume 2. This uncommon goes for $6.22. And this card is very amazing. I love it. It says add 1 to your mana pool. Very typical. But it says pay 1 until end of turn. Creatures your opponents control lose hexproof and shroud and can't have hexproof or shroud. Wow. That is also the best and most useless card at the same time, because if your opponent doesn't have any of it, you get 1 mana at least, but you don't like it. I think that's cool because hexproof is 100% annoying. Shroud, yeah, you can work around with that, but hexproof, ugh. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a good day and a good evening.